That's incredible. Your brain is plastic. So the neural pathways that are made are all based off of the things that you do on a repetitious basis. So if one consistently does something to create those neural pathways, which just leads you to wanting, the cravings of nicotine or alcohol, and then you suddenly cut those pathways out, it's going to open up all those doors to a bunch of new things, different things. Oh, that's super good. That's awesome. Hmm. Yeah, we still did pretty well though, all things considered. These arena matches have been pretty solid. Hmm. Yeah, and it's because of the strategy. We've got a pretty decent strategy on how to do well in arena because we played it so much, and then we switch to something like Joust and it has to be changed up completely, but not too far off. You can keep the same build, but you kind of can't rush until at least mid to late game. The Conquest is a little different. It's way slower than both arena and Joust, and then you've got a whole bunch of other things to focus on. But if you wanted to play it like an arena match, you just have to wait till you hit level 20 and only go against mages that have low cooldowns. I guess high cooldowns. What's that?
Select your god.
Hmm. Sounds good.
My recipe's spiced with a dash of doom.
Sounds good. Uh-huh. And yes, the way that I tried to figure out what I was manifesting through my conscious waking state, I found you really only have to put your attention or have your eyes gaze upon something and you mentally perceive it for at least 7 seconds. So if you've noticed, oh, I lost that game, and then you say something about it, and then you lose the next one, and you say something a little bit more about it, then you start to anticipate it, then you expect it, and then you're kind of stuck in it. And the only way out is, you may have heard me do this before a lot, and I stand by this practice because not just in video games but in life, I always win. And it doesn't matter what comes up on the screen, I always say victory, or I won, or first place. Like, I don't really need someone to confirm to me that I've misread, clearly what the screen says, but to hell what the screen says. It's what I say. And if I want to give in to what the screen says and allow a freaking picture on a screen to dictate my whole human vessel, come on now. Come on now. Can't be done. But if there are any particular things that you want to hear about or to have clarification on or even to discuss because you've got your own knowledge on it, feel free to ask. Since I'm streaming, I like the idea of having intellectual conversation while we're in the middle of Smite matches. And I know that the people that need to hear this stuff at the right time will find themselves to it, so this is a great way to do this. Because I've been wanting to do it for a while, but whenever I do it by myself, it's a whole thing. And then I end up not doing it for very long. Or I'll be so quiet just streaming playing games because I'm not really engaged with anyone, but this has been great for me too. Oh yeah. Even if it gave you the same amount of dopamine, It's more drip fed. Yeah, as opposed to you just kind of getting that rush all at once. It's that instant gratification. That same thing happens with like porn and drugs and alcohol, like all of that stuff. It's still dopamine, but it's too quick and it doesn't last very long. There's very little payoff. But sometimes it's needed, you know? It's not a terrible thing outside of moderating it, but I think everything serves a purpose no matter what.
Minions have reached your portal.
Hmm. You got lights on? Hmm. Drink a lot of water? Eat any food yet? Start there. Where? Sounds good. I already ate, so I'll be good for the day. Thinking about getting a drink or two since Monster Hunter will be out tonight. That'll be pretty fun to get into. Yeah, celebrate the release of an awesome game. I'll definitely be streaming it too. Nice. Thanks. No. They did have one movie about it, but in this context it's a video game.
An enemy has been slain.
Mhm. I see. Oh yeah. It's definitely super good. I don't know how long they've been making them, but it's definitely progressed a lot. Yeah. It's a AAA title. It's a next-gen game too, so it starts at that price. I used that much money on food today. Yeah. I didn't know that. I bought it when it first came out. I beat it once. I think this next multiplayer one comes out like late May.
Ally has been slain. Minions have reached your portal.
Night Rain or something like that. Starting to get more into stories and story building. That's why I don't know too much about a lot of different things outside of the context of how things work in a continuity perspective. Yeah. Everything that's out has some sort of story. And usually it's being made up by the, you know, one perceiving it. That's what keeps people coming back for more, they just don't realize it.
It's time to turn this back on.
Oh, about 3 or 4 of them went inside of Aladdin's thing there. Yeah. I was trying to save you. That's good to hear. My friend got into him real well
Spice up the do!
in Smite 1. I never really had the patience for his kit. Between the wave and just the buff on the attacks. Like the basic attacks. Yeah. There's very few mages that I've ever played where their basic attacks were just so high that I'd rather do that than just play a quick melee character. Oh yeah. You should have a speed buff. His X in Smite 1 was a speed buff. Yeah, my genius comes from the understanding of all things. It takes some time for me to actually put it into practice or to go experiment with it, but once I kind of get it all full circle, unstoppable. I'd agree. Everybody's unstoppable. They only limit themselves. You want to fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. And most people create entire identities and personalities, which is just their personal reality, with those limitations. I'm not one of those people. It's alright. We've already won. I didn't assume so. I just made a statement to the universe. We've already won. Yeah. That's the thing that kind of gets me, is that I know for a fact that developers do make these games based off of how they're going to affect your mind, like psychologically, and none of it is really to benefit you in a positive manner. Like, we're literally fighting. Fighting isn't a good thing. You know, so if you're able to, to reach a level of this is fun, then I don't understand why they don't just make games fun to be fun and to like enjoy playing them. Like, you gotta get frustrated, you gotta have revenge, you gotta want to go get someone. No. Yeah. I'll check it out. Send it to me in a message or something. Yeah, I used to be that same way with the whole frustration thing. It happens to me, and like I said before, it is just a matter of emotional dysregulation. But it's not fun to have to deal with, because you can only really occupy one emotion at a time. Like, you can't be happy and frustrated, or joyful and pissed off. You always have to pick one. Yeah, that's also one. You can just call it overwhelm instead of any of those other ones. Which feels like a combination of all of those ones to a particular degree, which just makes it a bit more complicated, but overall, you're just trying to reach joy, you know? That's pretty good. Do more Divine Ruin, um, Gem of Focus.
An ally has been slain.
There's another rod that I like to use as well. It's like green. Got a little hook on it. Can't think of the name off the top of my head, but when I go back to the store, I'll tell you.
An enemy has been slain. Minions have reached your portal.
What's his passive? Oh. Or mana or something. Yeah.
Mix a flavor. Orange.
Yeah. Oh, improvement. That's why. I knew that. I was the thing that I said earlier about why there's basically all video games that I've ever played have been trying to induce rage or something like that, and it's so you can learn the opposite. I basically came to the revelation like just now, as opposed to what I was thinking before. So like you wouldn't have ever figured that you can use video games as a catalyst to calm yourself down as you play them if they weren't enough to frustrate you in the first place. You do something else. At least from that perspective. Of course, you know, you're a developer or aspiring artist. There's a lot of different ways that you can see things, an infinite amount of ways actually. Oh, we're not at all. Uh-huh. Yeah. Huh.
Attack the minions.
Oh, I see. Ooh, nice ult.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Shut down.
It's time to spice up the dough.
An ally has been slain.
Wherever there are gods in need, I'll be
An enemy has been slain. I wish for immortality. Shut down. I wish for power. Into the battle. An enemy has been slain.
Ah, you're fine. How was the conversation?
Your team has 50 tickets remaining.
Something was listening. Uh,
An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
yeah, it does. And you're not wrong at all. I mean, depending on which direction you try to, take that, you can line it up with any particular kind of belief system. But I believe the same thing. Essentially, the intangible, the unknown. It exists. There's stuff out there. Oh. I remember you telling me about that a while ago. A lot of the stuff that I learned about spirituality does come from scripture, so I mean, I only decided to care a lot about it because back then when I thought that there, if there was a God, well, there clearly is one, and if you want to know whatever the hell you think he knows, it's all in that book, so that's, I believe, basically everything that's in there. And then I've seen it work in my life in a very particular way that it couldn't be anything but that, so, yeah. Yeah. And if you want to know, you just ask and he'll tell you. The thing is like he go on. Well, everything is for your good, so it doesn't matter if you think that you should or shouldn't know it. I've learned things that I never wanted to know, or I thought I didn't want to know, until it, became, what's the word, relevant and useful. Oh, we need one kill and we win. Oh yeah, that's awesome. If they wouldn't have ran off, I think we get one per minion as well, so yeah, we won.
A perfect mix of flavor and fear.
Victory.
Perfect mix
You
of
are as
flavor
wise
and
as you are
fear.
strong.
I am. I like the way the stories work out in my mind and a level of understanding when it comes to angels and demons and spirits and excuse me, God, universe, all that. Uh-huh. Mhm. Did you smoke that day? No. It sounded like you had a panic attack. Right. I didn't mean to say that in a discounting kind of way. I just mean like it sounds like that was the symptoms of a panic attack. Because clearly, if you saw something and then you had that particular kind of reaction, and I've also experienced that myself, one not too long ago. But the very first time it happened, I also felt the exact same way. Like there was something in the room with me that really made me feel like my heart was racing for that reason. I started bawling my eyes, and the only thing that I can say was thank you. I thought I was literally talking to Jesus as he brushed up next to me, just walking past, kind of thing. Yeah, it felt malicious to me too, but I have to give everything to him, so I just said it was him. You know? Mhm.
My recipe's
Yeah.
spiced with a dash of doom.
Yeah. Go on. Yup. Yeah, and it's to strengthen your vessel. Like, there's not much that you can push yourself through that God can't help you do. Like, when He helps you to push through something that you know you're anxious about or you don't want to do or this, that, and the third, and then you overcome it, you know, you become a stronger version of yourself that you wouldn't have been able to achieve without His help. And that's the kind of stuff that really kind of helped me figure out how to maintain a level of awareness on Him as opposed to just thinking, is this Him? Is this not Him? Oh, it's all Him. Every last little bit. Everything. You don't think he knows what the hell, Lucifer's doing or what we're doing or what we're thinking. Like, you're already on the way to being aligned in the way that he sees you because what he's trying to do is make himself manifest inside of you. Most people just reject that because their ego is what's controlling their thoughts and emotions and movements. Yeah, that's what the ego wants you to believe. That sounds like an ego. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, you don't just come off as someone that is egoically connected. Hmm. Yeah. The downside to you believing that is, unfortunately, I can literally tell you that you do have one. We all have one. There's no way without it. But there's a few things. Oh, yeah, go ahead. I won't forget. No, you're fine. We're both, I think, at the same point. We're just not opposing sides, so it's just a kind fest here. Um, but yeah, the another name for ego is lack, limitation, doubt, fear. So if you've ever experienced any of that, which we all have to, just down here in general, um, it may not be like a self-centered or narcissistic style of ego, but the fact that, like earlier you had mentioned, you don't care about materialistic things and to not have money and things of that nature. Yeah, so it's like it may not be as heavy as someone that just runs around trying to like piss people off or just be as ugly as possible, but there's just way less that you have to overcome than the next person, for instance. Yeah, that's also non-coincidentally on purpose. It will return. Yep. He used to say it'll come to you in a dream. Yep. Yep. Ah. Uh-huh. Right. Right. Like have that ocular power. That visual prowess. I see. It wasn't as natural as like a human face or an animal you're familiar with. Ah, I see. And that does also come from your subconscious too. So it's pretty cool that you, or oh well, I know, not cool in the sense that, you know, have fun with that again, but I haven't ever experienced that in particular. And I can manifest that on the screen of my mind, like if I wanted to visualize stuff like that, especially if you describe it to me. But I've never actually had to have an experience in which like a nightmare was made manifest in reality, even as an apparition or ghost-like or anything like that. I just feel energies, like I can sense them pretty accurately. Uh-huh. He was. Mhm. Uh-huh. Slenderman.
Be right back.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Interesting.
Killing spree. Shut down.
Uh-huh. Well, that's good. Especially if you believe, like, that the better you do, the less likely you are to have to experience stuff like that. Well, that's good. I get that. I had to do a very similar thing, take a real hard look at myself and try and figure out, like, why I was the way I was, why I made decisions the way that I did. That was actually the whole reason how I came into spirituality and manifestation and Christ consciousness and all that stuff. Was because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing to get the results in life that I'm getting, but I don't want it anymore. And I need something else to get rid of it, and I didn't have the ability to like have a therapist or a counselor or something that's like cross-checking my every single decision and every thought and everything I want to say and do. It was impossible to even try and figure out where to get started with that, so I just went straight to God. Like, yo. Yep, the ultimate therapist. He's removed anxiety, fear, stress, doubt, given me joy, gifts, promises that have been kept. Like it's been a wild life, like since I turned it over. Literal miracles. And the deeper understanding of what that word is and what it means, which is profound that you brought it up, at least from my perspective, is like most people like wait for stuff to happen or for somebody to do something for them. Yeah, by being open to receive it. But I'm like, I got a miracle of life, you know, to wake up, to be able to see, to have eyes, ears, mouth, nose, legs, limbs, of history, stuff. Like all of those to me are miracles. You know, this whole life is a miracle. This reality is a miracle. So I said earlier, it's like nothing is bad at all. Everything is inherently neutral, but if you can claim that it's good and happening for your good, then it has no choice but to reflect that back to you. And you can start small, you know, just say that particular thing to one person, you know, let alone believing it yourself. Because they're going to believe it, and then they're going to try it out and see, and then it's just going to keep going and going and going. So spread the good, not the bad or the evil.
Minions have reached your portal.
Yeah. Let me know when you want to know. Some people might be afraid of it. I think that's what the experience of death is supposed to represent for people that are afraid of what's after life. Yeah, it's a part of the life's journey. You don't even get to pass over until you accept that death is inevitable. Nobody's getting out of here alive. But most people don't know what happens once those lights go out, you know? Yeah, I know what you mean. I've only had to do that one time, and then I had to experience 2 more losses, but like I said, I've learned what all of that part of the experience is as well. So I understand why I didn't, you know, have an emotional reaction to it in a traditional way, because it didn't just seem dramatic to me that people do that, but I understand it now. Yeah, that's how that last one was. We turned it around.
Has been slain.
Nice. 333. Angel numbers. Numbers are spirits. Letters, words are spirits. Everything is freaking spirit. Yeah. That's why it's always great to forgive and apologize. Even if you don't think that you did something wrong, but you felt that energy or there was hurt behind the words. You want to energetically, you know, send love. Because you're right, it will happen. No matter how hard you try to stop it. That's why we have to come in control of ourselves. Oh yeah. That's absolutely true. When you judge others, you're judging yourself. If you shame someone, you're shaming yourself. If you condemn someone, you're condemning yourself.
An ally has been slain.
Exactly. If we didn't have the perception of what it is that we see in other people, then we would never see it in ourselves, but the fact that we have it active within us is the reason why people show up to reveal that to us. No one wants to just wake up and go on their very merry day and then just not be a blessing, you know?
Counter their curses.
Yeah.
An enemy has been slain. Double kill.
Well, misery loves company, and because the law of attraction is always active, people are only going to be able to bring to them other people that are like-minded to that exact same degree. Nothing more, nothing less. And they'll stick with them until one of them overcomes that particular challenge or trauma or whatever it is that brought them together. There's people that make whole lifestyles and personalities around it. Just like that. Another W. Bro, we're unstoppable. We've won every game we've ever played.
Victory.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that before too. Cannot believe I ate that much food. Mhm. Sounds good. Was that Smite 1? That's Smite 2. Yeah, I see. Oh, okay. It's, yeah. Mm. That's cool. It's one of those things that I wish I had had the patience for when I was younger, but I kind of understand it now as an adult. Like to just make something so robust and so vast, and just, put a lot of time and energy in your life into a project like that. Like any game, for instance, but like I can appreciate them. Yeah, that's awesome. So, how do you even see your mattress tree? I found it. Yeah, I only see green on my screen. Every single one is green. Yep, they're all green. All wins. All that matters is that you did your best. Yeah, that's true. The them that they were as well does just merge back into all there is. Yeah. Well, no, not an angel. Angels are different than what we are. Or no, yeah, I know what you mean. Well, I don't know what you mean, but I didn't mean to say it like that in a way like you're wrong. It's just that angels are below us, so to speak, but not in a superior kind of way. But it's almost like you don't want to pray to the universe because the universe was created for us to dwell in. It was for us to be. It's our plaything. It's not something that gives us anything. God gives us everything. Right. No, it was just an experience. It was a dream. Like, even what you and I are doing right now is just part of a dream. We live in a dream. This world is a dream. But the parts of the dream that seem so real, like feelings and emotions, that part is no longer part of his particular reality. He's just merged back into non-physical. He's merged back with the creator itself, and will come back down to re-experience life from a completely different perspective with no knowledge of his life prior to. But most people are really falling in love with the character of a person. That's why we like TV shows, music, and themes and whatnot, because they're being played by characters. Right now I'm playing with the character that recognizes himself online as seasoned codfish. But when you're gone, no one's gonna know who you really were. They're just gonna know you by your character. Yeah, it's impossible. Yep. And you're changing every moment. So if one decides to kind of hang on to certain aspects that they've experienced and claim that it's a part of their identity or they can't live without it or this happened to me so I can't let that go, all of those things aren't really going to be too valuable for you after the fact. They were just lessons that needed to be learned and let go. It's when you recognize that you're perfect and you are pure joy and love and life itself. Go on. No, you're fine. I was about to go on a whole thing. Take your time. Take your time. Yeah. It'll definitely improve once the smoking stops, but you'll still have to rebuild. Oh, nice. Gotta eat really good, nutritious food, drink a lot of water, and get plenty of rest. Yet. There you go. Well, there is a minimum for functionality. But if you want to be your absolute very best, and it'll take more than just one time, so, work on it. But, that's all that is. You just gotta re-regulate. And you already got faith that you're divinely guided, so it's not like you're on the right path as it is. Screen time takes a big role into that as well. Most people will end up getting fatigued from just staring at a screen for too long, because they're really guiding us all day, every day now. Everything. Oh, that's amazing, actually. I almost don't even remember what it was like to not have a phone. I run businesses, so I kind of have to be connected. That was actually the whole reason I bought exactly the phone that I have now, and I've been paying for it and keeping up with it. Because I decided to become a business owner before I learned about how else I could just have money. Like, they're printing this stuff every day. Why would you work for it? It's crazy. A minimum of 500 million. And every dollar bill costs the same amount of money to produce. You know how much a $100 bill and a $1 bill cost to make? 4 cents. Yep. For a single dollar bill, no matter the denomination in the United States, it costs 4 cents to make. Well, there's a reason why we progressed all the way to the digital age. It's necessary for commerce, for growth, for community, for longevity. It's a symbol of trust, but it's a tool. And if we didn't have that tool, just like if you needed to build a house and didn't have a hammer, you'd have no house. Yeah. I understand where you're coming from, and I can agree to that to the extent of I've seen it. I understand that other people do have those beliefs. Yeah, yeah. Well, I've been in that particular situation, like not taking money from someone, you know, by force, but I've felt the scarcity of it. I've felt the lack of it, the perceived power of it. Like I've been on many different facets of it. But then I'm like, there's still people on this earth, on this planet, that are doing so many good things with it. How do I become that? And that's where I went. Oh yeah, that's a good way to put it. But we have to have contrast. If there was no contrast, then you wouldn't know what you wanted. It's the way that it comes up, you know, that most people, like we had said before, believe that things are happening to them, as opposed to for them and by them. And then ultimately you get to as you. Like you're doing it as you, you're doing it to yourself. And people do some pretty wild things for that. Sorry that that had to happen to you. Or that not it had to, but I'm sorry that it did. Because that's obviously not good. Yeah, it's definitely not worth getting hurt over. That's what he thought, yeah. And you will. Simply because you desire the information, it will come to you. Very few things in my life that I require closure for now. I'm grateful for that. It does seem necessary to certain degrees, but I'm not hurting for it anymore. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That and the cost is too great. The cost is always to the person that's hanging on to that stuff. Like if you're upset with someone and you don't know what to do with that anger, it's like running around with a hot coal that you're trying to throw at that person, and the only person that gets burned in the meantime is the one. Yeah, a knife with no blade, or hanging from it by the blade. I'm sitting out, no blade, no hilt. Yeah. 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 The other person don't think about it. They're living their own life. I kind of like the whole way that I got used to just like coexisting with so many other people. It's almost like life is clearly like a simulation or a video game. And not only are we our own characters, but we're also in our own servers. So like there's a version of you infinitely being played out to everybody else's life, swimming in and out of their heads, their perceptions, so forth and so on. Because you're always doing something. You just don't really know the significance of what you're doing because there's an infinite amount of ways to kind of perceive it. But if I were to treat everybody the same way that I would treat myself and put out exactly what I would like to come back into me, then why wouldn't I do that? I started testing that about 2 years ago, and that's kind of how it's been for me. Yeah, it fascinates me. It's everything I keep asking for, I keep getting. It's crazy. In the best way. It's awesome. Indeed. For the good of all, for the free will of all. I like affirmations, like ones that are targeted, like targeted prayers. I use it for money and business and relationships. As you should. No, you should pray for yourself more often than you pray for other people. Only you know what you want. If you have to express it to another person, you just give your power to that other person. Or thing, or place, or people, or whatever the case is. But it's definitely allowed and encouraged. Like, you should speak life over your own life. Prosperity, good times, great experiences. As many things as you can think of that you would want to give to someone else, or have them experience, like, want that for yourself as well. And better yet, want to do it with them. Indeed. I do like to ask people sometimes, like, just to probe their mind, because I never know when the last time they really thought about it. What is it that you truly desire in life? Or if you had all the money in the world, like, what is it that you would like to experience? Because nothing's impossible, and it doesn't take any of what we believe it takes in order to actually experience something, other than the desire to want it. And you shall. If you want to pray for it right here, right now, I'll do it for you. It's real easy. Indeed. You believe in God, don't you? Like Jesus, God the Father, that whole story. Like Jesus. Jesus, in Jesus' name.
You have slain an enemy.
Yeah. 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 I can understand that. If I didn't see a lot of it, like myself, I'd have to agree with you. But, it's all a journey. I mean, no one can say for sure because no one alive now was alive then. And the only counts that we have for any of that is through scripture, which we're, led to understand that it was written by people who also walked the earth, usually at the same time as him. And it really doesn't matter which corner of the earth you go to, because he traveled mostly all of it. There's texts that kind of, allude to the fact that he was here. And I don't really question it much anymore. That's why I call myself a believer of Christ, rather than a knower of Christ. It's just something that you just kind of land on and then you move forward from because of the way that it impacts you. But my point for even asking is that I learned how to pray a few different ways over the course of my life. But my favorite one was from this lady who had prayed for someone else. Well, she actually took me there to pray for him. But then she had prayed as well. And the way she did it was so profound. Just like you and I are having this conversation right now, she just had a conversation with God as if, we're talking to each other right now, right in front of me. And I was like, it's that easy. I'm over here trying to figure out the greatest words and memorize scriptures and say it all right and have the perfect flow. And you can just start talking. She's like, yeah. I was like, okay, let me try that. Oh no, you're fine. That's about it. I don't want to do that. That's amazing. Oh wow. Oh, I've got a pawpaw too. That's crazy.
Unstoppable. Good game.
Huh. That's amazing. Well, God, you heard what he said. He said he wants to travel the world and he wants all the money in it. In Jesus' name, I pray you'll give it to him as quickly as possible. Amen. Well, it costs money to travel, friend. Somebody's got to pay for it. No, it doesn't. But having all the money in the world doesn't make you greedy. It doesn't make you anything but prosperous, which scripturally is what God intends for all of his people. Yeah, that's amazing. And the more you do that, the more you'll have. You can't do too much good in the world. That's the beauty of this. It's like even if you did have all the money in the world and you gave it all away, you'd get twice as much back. Like you couldn't get rid of it if you tried.
An ally has been slain.
So it's better to just love it. Love it, like it, want it, know that it's there for you, enjoy it. It comes from the same place of where you came from anyway. And I do the same. There are certain things that are clearly meant for you, but there's nothing that you have that can't be shared. Thank you. She thought she was doing something too. I was waiting on the dog to get here.
Shut down.
Lights up my world.
An ally has been slain. Meet my flame.
Do some jumping jacks.
Your portal.
Get the blood flowing. Yeah. Thinking about going out for a walk. Do a flip. I don't think I've ever done a backflip.
An enemy has been slain.
Oh yeah, I've done it on a trampoline before. It's weird to kind of try and control your body in those circumstances. I just never learned the proper technique to do one. I used to want to be, yeah, without the proper awareness and technique, a recipe for disaster. I'm not interested in hurting myself. Especially trying to do something I clearly don't have no business doing. Who's that you got? Poseidon? He hit you with the squid billy? Ew, what kind of lifesteal build is he using on you? Oh,